Good afternoon and welcome to our continuing series of Eucharistic Reflections brought to you by St. Alphonsus Rodriguez Church in Woodstock, Maryland. Recently I found myself thinking a lot about and praying about the Beatitudes, probably since we had them as a Sunday gospel reading, I believe 2 weeks ago. And what I find myself thinking is, couldn't Jesus have used easier language to understand? Or maybe because we're living in a different culture 2,000 years later, the words maybe don't catch quite the same meaning. But as challenging as they may be, obviously we can pray over those, and I think the true meaning of Jesus can come to us. For example, maybe we can consider in Blessed are the poor in spirit, a difficult concept for me anyway, but what would the opposite of that be? If we aren't poor in spirit, is it because we're too independent or don't allow ourselves to rely on God or even on others? Maybe Jesus could have said it, woe to those who have an independent spirit. They miss the wonder of knowing God's love and protection. They miss the wonder of trusting in the Lord. That really is the definition of pride. We oftentimes feel like we can do it ourselves. I don't need anybody else, and maybe don't even need God. Don't rely on God. Maybe not intentionally, but it could damage or would damage our relationship with God. So we know that having the ability to truly rely on God is a blessing, to let go and let God. But for many people, including me many times, it's not the easiest thing to do. There's a beautiful reading by Father Jacques Philippe in this month's Word Among Us, the February issue. And he first references St. Teresa of Lisieux, if I pronounce that correctly. And she says, "There's no joy equal to that which is shared by the truly poor in spirit," and talks about finding our smallness in the arms of God. So the article goes on the one hand, the experience of one's fragility, of one's limits, and on the other hand, the experience of the infinite tenderness of God together produce very positive effects. And again, the same Thérèse of Lisieux says, "The Almighty has done great things in my soul, and the greatest thing is to have shown it its smallness and its powerlessness." And she talks about, again, finding ourselves in the arms of God. This beautiful article goes on to say, Elijah shows us that poor, quote unquote, poor souls become humble and accept not always being able to understand and control all situations. They learn to abandon themselves to God with confidence. They also learn to consent to their weaknesses, to rely more and more not on their own abilities, strength, and intelligence, but on the grace and goodness of God. They humbly accept God's help and the help that others can give them. Beautiful concept. The article continues about a poverty that makes us like Jesus. The experience of poverty and salvation also teaches us to stop judging or despising others and to stop thinking of ourselves as above them. Instead, we become more understanding and merciful. And then lastly, the article goes on to talk about good news and a strong call. We don't have to worry or be afraid of our limitations or poverty. We don't have to be afraid of the situations in life that make us poor, times when we experience our limitations, lose some of our human securities, or when our weaknesses are revealed. We just have to accept them and then rely on God and put our hope in Him. He will use all of this for our good, for our conversion, so that we can experience God's faithfulness and love more deeply. Challenging, yes, but blessed are the poor in spirit indeed. I encourage you to pray over that and maybe see what the Lord touches you with on that concept. God bless us all.